Good morning. This is the time and place set for the regularly scheduled monthly meeting of the Nevada Taxicab Authority. It is Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. The time is 9:39, and I will call us to order. The record should reflect that present are Vice Chairman Graff, Member Decker, and myself, Ian Reeser, the chair. Member Vasquez is on bereavement leave and so is excused. Would you please rise and join me in pledging?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Having reviewed compliance of posting affidavits and receipts, it appears to me that this meeting has been properly posted and noticed and putting with the open meeting law. Do you confirm that?
Yes.
Takes us to second item of business today, this morning, which is our first public comment session. This matter is set on our agenda pursuant to NRS Chapter 241, that is open meeting law, and is an opportunity for members of the public to address us on matters within the jurisdiction of the board. We may not take action on any of those matters brought to our attention in public comment, but we welcome public comment of anyone who wishes to address us. Looks like Mario is present and would like to address us in public comment.
Mariano Castro, General Manager of Deluxe Taxi. As we know, last month I was winning a 3-1 vote, and then the bottom of the ninth came and it all came apart. But the only vote I wasn't winning was JD, and he kept saying, "Pilot, we have a pilot program. We have a pilot program," and I couldn't communicate because 60 now, forgetting things. But when the CDL came in, then should be in your lane because you're in there. When the CDL came from logs, written to digital, all these companies came with a pilot program. So Cornell had to step in and define how to go by it by federal law. And it turned into a law. And the definition of 49 CFR 3881 was that whether it's 1 or 100 pilots, as long as they follow the federal guidelines, it's considered a pilot. So I couldn't win your vote because you kept saying we have a pilot. So whether we do 5 pilots, 300 pilots, as long as they follow the federal guidelines set with Cornell that they agreed, the federal government agreed. I know it doesn't apply here because it's not a federal, but it's a good guideline to follow. And what they said is, as long as you follow everything that TA is going to stand by, all these pilots check every box. That's what a pilot is for, to test them all. I hope it helps. Thank you.
Any other member of the public present in Las Vegas that wishes to address us? Anybody online who would like to provide?
No.
That will conclude our first public comment session. That brings us to agenda item 3, which is an opportunity for industry discussion. This matter is regularly set on our agenda for the purposes of allowing the industry to address us on matters of proposed regulations, developments, issues that they are facing that they want to bring to our attention. Is there any member of the public that wishes to address us? Seeing none in the hearing room, is there any member of the industry that wants to?
No.
Okay, that concludes agenda item 3. That takes us to agenda item 4, which is the administrator's report on the status of the pilot program approved in the matter of the application for the pilot program by Whittleton Blue Cab and Henderson Taxi to allow a passenger using a TNC company's app to connect to a taxi cab driven by Taxicab Authority permitted driver. Take it away, Administrator.
Thank you, Chairman. The pilot program seems to be going well. Obviously, in any pilot program, you're going to have things that you find out that you need to fix, and that's no different in this pilot program. We also have worked very closely with Z-Trip, with their tech people. Chris, Mel, and the tech people have been in constant contact. And then Bill, George, and I have been in contact as well. So I know that he has a presentation that he would like to give about the pilot program. But from my perspective, it's not there yet, but it is well on its way.
So are you yielding part of your time on the floor to Mr. George?
I yield to Mr. George.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We just have a simple update for you. So far, everything is extremely encouraging. We launched, originally we had approval on September 1st, and I think it bypassed all of us that was Labor Day, so we chose to launch on September 2nd, just in respect of all our respective staffs to be able to monitor this. Since the launch, we've had 6 people dedicated full-time, both on the tech side and the operational side, to address issues. And what I can offer today is I'm extremely enthusiastic. If you remember my presentation last month, we talked about what the potential is for this to reverse the trend, the negative downward trend that we've seen over the past decade in the taxicab industry. In our limited 13 days that this covers, we were offered more than 2,000 trips per day. And these are clearly trips that would have not gone to a taxi cab. These were TNC trips. The significant thing is we are only right now operating with 10% availability of the Uber fleet, meaning that as through the pilot, they've only exposed us to 10% of the potential trips. And that doesn't include that we've geofenced out the airport. So when you add those trips in, plus some others, you can see the potential that this has for the industry, which is significant. We have a low acceptance rate of 9% of those trips. So when it translates into actual trips, and this is a variety of factors, some of it is working out geofences. And you've heard me say several times as we've gone through this process, we don't know what we don't know. And that's part of the pilot, is to figure that out. One of the things that nobody in the industry thought of is where the TNCs pick up, a lot of the cabs can't get into because of the advertising signs on top. So we learned that the hard way. As we said, we had to go back and geofence again certain areas. And as we're working through the program and we have people deployed on the streets, just a lot of little things that have come up like that, which we're working through. You'll see in here that what's really encouraging is, as we know, the average fare in Las Vegas is between $20 and $21, the average taxi cab fare. The average fare we've seen on these trips is $18.58. So when you realize that the airport is excluded, look at the average value of the trip, I think we're very competitive with what the drivers have been seeing in a normal fare. So that was also a very encouraging realization from the pilot. In terms of consumer complaints, 0. In terms of venue complaints, the administrator reports there was 1 complaint, and I forgot the hotel. But they saw a taxi cab picking up in the TNC area, and it was a doorman that had not been notified yet. So there's still an education process, but we're obviously very excited about the lack of issues there. From the technology side and the geofence challenges, it is a daily issue working through this through Uber software and tailoring it to the unique nature of the Las Vegas market. And that's where so much time is being spent. And we're seeing increased activity every day. And so as we work through these in the next 30 days, pilot, when we report to you again next at the next meeting, I think you'll see significant improvement, not only on the number of trips offered, but on the completion rates and the revenue that flows into the TA as a result of that. But perhaps the most encouraging thing is the heat map that's on the back of this. And not surprising, you see it's heavily centered on the Strip. But when you look at the outlying areas, and this is really what we talked about, moving the needle in the business, is how far outside of the areas this is. And if you look at the trips that are completed, the majority of them actually are completed in the outer areas. So it solved one of our long-term goals here, was to get taxi cabs back in the neighborhoods. don't rely so much on the tourism business, but expand the market and regain some of the market share that the industry historically has had. So all in all, it's been a tremendous effort by Cheryl and her team, our tech team nationally, working with Uber and AutoCab. And everybody is working to resolve all these issues. And as an administrator reflected, our team has been, I would say, constant contact with Curtis and his team as we work through these issues. But very pleased with what we're able to report to you today.
The just 40,000 foot level, what were the general nature of the technological issues that you were experiencing?
It was everything from how long a driver had to accept the trip, how many rotations it went through before a driver did it. There was a bunch of technical challenges with where vehicles were at and where the system was thinking they were at from there and where an offer could be made. A lot of it is driver education because not only do we put in a new system, but it's a new process in the system. And honestly, so many things that are way above my skill set, which is why we have those people, but they're working through them and I get a daily report. Quite frankly, I don't understand half of it, but I know that they're working towards it, but it's been a full-time effort.
Thank you.
No questions. Sounds great.
On the technology issues resolved, are the geofence challenges part of that 40 million?
No, that's just figuring out where we have a problem, where the location is. And it could be that we're not transmitting correctly where the location is. It could be an area that a cab can't get to. Part of it is education with the drivers as to where it's showing and the route to get there. And as you know, there's a core group of drivers that have been doing things the same way for 20 years. And so part of the challenges are how we change the technology to make it easier for them to adopt the program. So we keep trying to, we have people riding with drivers all day long, seeing how they interact and then making improvements to the interface.
And when you have either a geofence challenge or a technology issue, is it shut down the process?
Oh, no.
You're
It's just something that we have to resolve.
So
So
you're resolving while it's still going.
it's
real-
repairing the airplane while it's flying.
Not on that airplane. So that's roughly 5 technological challenges a day.
Well, but it was 25. It's the first week. Okay, 25 a day, the first week almost.
It's going down.
Yes, it's going down. It's whack-a-mole a little bit, going through it.
And on percentage of Uber offer, will you explain that to me a little more?
So Uber is only based on completion rates and based on, as we do the ramp up, the initial week, we were only exposed to 5% of the potential trip offers. So what they do is on their side, as offers come in, they're only siphoning off 5% to go to the nearest vehicle that is a taxi cab. And now they're up to 10%. By the end of this week, we'll be up to 20%. And the goal is by the end of the pilot, we'll be at 100%. So once we get this industry wide and we work out all the bugs, to confidently tell you this could increase the number of trips by 1 to 1.8 million, I feel very comfortable telling you that per year. And
Did you say that again? What number?
1 to 1.8 million increase in the number of trips. So it'll be the first time, other than out of the pandemic, you'll see the annual numbers going up. And that is assuming we get it finally passed through your group, through the authority, and then being able to have every cab in Las Vegas participating in the program.
So, sorry.
No, yeah.
So if I understand it right, that's an algorithm that Uber applies to its drivers. If you drive Uber, we'll start by offering you a limited number of trips, and the more you drive, the more trips are offered. I find it a little odd that Uber is applying that to the industry. Probably unnecessary, but probably just their standard practice.
Well, their they're concerned about their customer experience too. So as we all know, when you summon someone on the app, you're looking for an immediate match. And the rule of thumb is don't let your phone go dim. So most people have it 30 seconds set on your phone before it dims. So they're trying to have a match before your phone goes dim. Because the drivers, there's no penalty for taxi drivers not to accept a trip. Where Uber drivers can be deactivated, or they will go lower in the algorithm for not accepting the trip. We don't have that penalty because the driver has the opportunity to see what the trip is and see what they'll be paid. So there's a 15-second process in there where instead on a normal Uber thing, it's accept, 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 because that's the only source of trips that those drivers have, or taxi drivers have multiple sources. So from their customer experience standpoint, until the completion rates and the acceptance rates go up by the drivers, they don't want to subject their customers to having a negative experience. So that's, once again, the pilot not only is for approval with the authority, but it's also Uber because we are taking their customers. And so they're concerned from that end.
So,
No.
so if I understand that, they're basically limiting the pipeline taxi driver.
There's a governor.
Right.
And as the metrics improve, more fuel will flow through the pipeline.
And it's your anticipation by the end of the pilot, at the end of this month, or actually the
Mid-October, I'm
mid-October,
hoping we'll be at 50%.
50%.
Yes. And, with the goal is by the end of the year that every trip that we're closest to, our drivers will have the opportunity. And then some of it's what they call fastest finger. How quickly you accept the trip. And that's what they want from their customer experience. But given in what we're trying to do and educate the drivers are, which they've never done before, is when you leave your house, when a lease driver leaves their house, you never have to head to the strip. And that's what's so encouraging about the heat, because it's starting to happen. And so I feel very confident when I report back to you next month that this map the dots will be much more prominent and much wider spread.
Where are we in the categories of Uber?
UberX. So there's not a taxi cab designation, but we are UberX. And then,
And that's what I was going to ask. Is there's going to eventually be a taxi cab designation, and is there some sort of price differential?
in New York where they do it, they have a different thing where you're actually purposely hailing a cab. In Las Vegas, and based on the other cities we've seen the experience, I don't know that people are going to choose a cab over UberX, because if they're going to do that, it eventually that may change when every cab is available, so they can walk out to the first up cab. But we still have the issue that driver has to choose if they want to accept it or not. So I don't see that we'll have an actual taxi cab button, but what I'm really looking forward to is we will have a wheelchair button, and that's a huge thing. As we get this going. And so that's part of, as we grow it, and we're looking after the first of the year, that'll become available.
Good. Yep, that was it.
I have one more question. I'm gonna try and keep it within the scope of item 4.
Hey,
Please
wait,
tell me if I
Okay.
stray.
he'll tell you.
Yeah, okay. To the administrator, has the agency taken any action, given the limitations of NRS, during the pilot program period, to address whether or not this is going to become something that the agency is asking the board to approve permanently? Am I within the scope?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
And I would probably defer to the DAG on that. We have had conversations, and I think there was a presentation to the board from Louis Zoka from the Attorney General's office on the, if I'm getting your question correct, on whether or not it's a TNC ride or a taxi ride. And out of that presentation, we knew that these are taxi rides because of the 3P process. There's it doesn't, the consumer doesn't go right from their app to the driver. It goes from the app to a dispatch and then to a driver. So if it's a 2P concept, I can see where that would be a TNC a TNC ride. But because of the 3P process, I think it's a taxi ride.
So is your understanding that the AG's office has said that a permanent program of this nature would be within the bounds of the limitations of the NRA?
So instead of answering that, Administrator, I think I should tell you that I have made a request of the Attorney's Office to determine if Soka's opinion, which was based on a pilot program, would be the same. We were going to turn it on
Gotcha.
as a permanent. In fairness, I think the AG's office needs to have the opportunity to say, well, we looked at this because it was a pilot and there's special considerations we're giving to the board when it's experimenting,
Right.
essentially.
Okay.
So that,
To be determined.
yeah, to be determined
Gotcha. Thank you.
without having waived any attorney-client.
Gotcha.
Sorry, Administrator.
So thank you. I was
That, I'm
trying to
not sure
figure out
you were
how.
aware of my information. Any other questions? Anything else you'd like to say?
No, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That concludes agenda item 4 and takes us to agenda item 5, which is staff report.
Thank you, Chairman.
Won't be rushed this month.
I don't have too much to report, so we don't have to run through it quickly. First and foremost, I want to congratulate Curtis Mell as being my new deputy administrator. He was appointed about 3 weeks ago, and I don't think he's sat down since.
Was he
He's
sitting down
sitting down
before?
now.
Well,
Somebody took his chair?
yeah, exactly. Curtis brings so much to me and to the agency. He has so much experience. He has such a good relationship with the industry, and he's just going to do great things for the agency. And to piggyback on that, as of this week, I'm no longer the interim deputy commissioner at the Nevada Transportation Authority. I am the deputy commissioner. So I'm both the administrator and the deputy commissioner. I rely heavily on Curtis, and we've got a really good working relationship, and I look to see that continue. On that same note, I think I introduced Dominic Del Padre at our last meeting. He is the chief of enforcement over both the enforcement staffs from both agencies, and he's doing a great job getting his feet wet as well. And I don't think he has sat down or slept much as well either. So I just wanted to introduce him again and congratulate Curtis. Having said that, I think we can let me talk about the pilot programs real quick. We're running 2 pilot programs on 2 separate meters. Both of them are going well. The meter from Z-Trip, Curtis has been in constant contact technologically with them on the meter. They have been very responsive to get any issues fixed right away. And I'm seeing very few issues coming up anymore. With the other meter, it's kind of an old hat to us, the DT5 meter on the GPS program. We know the DT5. We have very few questions or problems with that, and it's going well too. But I think the GPS aspect to both of these meters is going to be very beneficial to the industry. So, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those before we get into some stats.
Any questions?
Okay. So August was a little bit better. We did get over 1 million rides for the month, which, as you know, the 2 months before we had not. So that was encouraging that we're that were starting to come back up. I think, a lot of that has to do with just the time of year. And I believe that, yes, my glass is half full. We're going to continue to go up in rights over the next few months. And listening to Mr. George speak, I hope that's a trend that continues for a long, long time. I'm going to kind of skip over some of this stuff and go right towards the end. Our medallions haven't changed. Our decals haven't. They're at 1978 for these decals. I'm going to have Chief Del Padre do the agency stats, but I did want to point out the cabs in service. I think that's important. We're up to 3,197, and not sure if everybody knows. I would think they know, but for about 3 weeks, our state has been shut down. We got cyber attacked, and our computer systems have gone down. We didn't even open our doors for 4 days, but our enforcement staff was out. Our dispatchers were working, and our inspectors were working. And as soon as we were able to get some workarounds, Curtis did a great job of getting some workarounds for the front end process for driver permitting. We opened up on Friday of that week. And I can tell you that the NTA wasn't that fortunate, but our staff, I'm so proud of them. They have done such a good job handling this outage. So I just wanted to throw a shout out to all the employees. So unless you guys have any questions about that, I'll let Chief Del Padre talk about the agency stats.
Good morning.
Morning.
So generally, we're seeing an uptick in activity. We're showing a 9% increase in violations written from July, and it's 13% from this time last year. For impounds, we're also seeing an increase. A lot of these impounds tend to be TA and NTA related. So combining both of those, our number is actually 19, which is a 90% increase from last month. With that, we were able to team up and catch 2 very bad apples due to joint efforts and arrest one of them. So the combination of, or the combined effort between the 2 agencies has been very fruitful. Complaints have decreased 10% overall. I'm not going to break down each individual category, but it is good to note that the industry is doing much better in that. Regarding less complaints, targeted enforcement is up 6%, and traffic stops are up 31%. So we are out there, even with the technological challenges that we've had, and we're still out there trying to protect the industry. Good.
Any questions? No, thank you. Any other statistical information?
No, sir.
Is Webb or Dag really anything to focus on?
I have nothing, sir.
On future agenda items, if you this issue, because of the technological issues at the authority, minutes were not prepared for the last, could not be. So why that is not available at this point. Ability to get into audio and prepare. They will be forthcoming. As to other business on our agenda today and the next couple of days, some matters under future agenda, not very far in the future agenda items. It was, the hearing on the applications of Desert Cab and A-Cab for pass-through technology charge will commence at 1 o'clock this afternoon. That was agendized in that way so that you'll find a surprise because Mr. Graff and I are attorneys, so that people weren't paying standby time on lawyers until a time certain. So we'll start at 1 o'clock. The public notice, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Webb, the public notice is different in some respects than the published of the applications. The open meeting law agenda has proceedings tomorrow and Friday beginning at 9 a.m. We will, consistent with the requirements of the open meeting law, open at 9, but we will not commence the hearing, any of the hearings, until 9:30 because the published notices have 9:30 on them, so we can't. There'll be a half hour. So the only thing I'm going to say for those who are participating is don't just show up at 9:30. Be ready to start at 9:30 because we're going to start promptly at 9:30. But we will open at 9. We'll open the agenda at 9 to the open meeting. Any items for future in October?
No.
No, sir.
I would suggest maybe we might want to revisit F1,
Oh, we have an order in place.
or did we?
Huh?
Or did we? There is an order, but kind of in limbo. Because there was other items on it, like yes, sure.
If I understand your point, Ms. Webb, there was a omnibus order, annual order.
I looked at the order from last year. We did not continue it to 2025. It was continued to 2025 on the same order as the CES and the SHOT Show.
Which that order was withdrawn.
Yes.
Yes, let's put that on the agenda so we make sure we have a order that makes clear that F1 process is going to place the same this year. Any other agenda items?
Do we want to put something on the agenda regarding the pilot or
Yes.
potential results from the
We,
police office?
yes, we do. So the pilot would be on because it expires 48 hours later. So that needs to be on the agenda, and I know that Doug freely knows the timing. We need to have a yes or a no on. But I don't think he needs to be separately agendized. You can just opine.
Okay.
When that agenda item, unless you think you need a separately agendized item to provide advice on the core item.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Anything else to come before us on the agenda item?
Nope.
That'll close agenda item 5. Takes us to agenda item 6. This is our second public comment session on monthly board meeting. This is on our agenda pursuant to NRS 41 Nevada's open meeting law, and there's an opportunity for members of the public to address us on matters within our jurisdiction. We may not take action on those items, but we welcome any public comment. Is there anybody present in the hearing room that would like to provide public comment? Seeing none, is there anybody participating remotely?
No.
I will close with comment. And entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
Until 1 o'clock.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded to be in adjournment till 1 o'clock this afternoon. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Thank you.